David brings a new cry before God. The wilderness of Psalm 63 fades, but the enemies remain. Unique setting, but the same threat. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Psalm 64, verse 1. David opens with a direct petition. He asks God to hear his voice, not his thoughts, but his spoken prayer. David brings sound before God, words shaped by urgency and faith. The request has two parts. First, hear. Second, preserve. The word preserve carries the sense of guarding, watching over, keeping safe. But notice what David asks to be preserved from. Not the enemy, but from fear of the enemy. David identifies fear itself as the threat requiring God's intervention. The enemy's power to instill dread is as dangerous as the enemy's sword. A man paralyzed by fear cannot function, cannot lead, cannot trust God. David asks God to guard his life against the corrosive work fear does. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Psalm 64, verse 2. David names two distinct threats. The secret counsel refers to private plotting, closed-door strategy sessions where men plan his destruction away from public view. These are not opponents David can confront and answer. They operate in the dark, building schemes before David even knows a plan exists. The insurrection of the workers of iniquity describes organized, active rebellion. These are men who labor at evil the way craftsmen labor at their trade, with skill and persistence. David asks God to hide him from both. The hiding is not cowardice. It is the recognition that some threats exceed human defenses. Only God sees into secret counsels. Only God can position David beyond the reach of organized wickedness. Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Psalm 64, verse 3. David describes his enemies' weapons. Their tongues are like swords, sharpened through repeated use. The image of whetting a blade shows intentional preparation. These men work at their speech, crafting slander the way a soldier sharpens his weapons before battle. Their words are also arrows, shot from a bow with precision and force. David names the arrows as bitter words. Their bitterness is not an accidental emotion, but deliberate poison loaded into language designed to wound and destroy. The tongue as a weapon appears throughout the Psalms, and David returns to it because his enemies attack through speech. The weapons are words, but the wounds are real. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. Psalm 64, verse 4. The archers operate from cover. They shoot at the blameless or upright man, one who walks with integrity before God. The attack is sudden, giving no opportunity to prepare or respond. The phrase fear not reveals the depth of their corruption. These men shoot without conscience, without hesitation, with no awareness of God watching their actions. Their fearlessness is not courage, but a form of practical atheism. They have convinced themselves that they are unaccountable. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, "Who shall see them?" Psalm 64, verse 5. The conspirators reinforce one another. They build each other's confidence in their evil scheme, strengthening one another's will to continue. They discuss the placement of their traps in private, working out the details of their plan away from any witnesses. Then comes the question that exposes their theology. Who shall see them? The question answers itself in their minds. Nobody. They operate under the assumption that God either cannot or will not observe their schemes. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Psalm 64, verse 6. David describes the thoroughness of their wickedness. They search out iniquities, hunting for new methods of harm, investigating what will work most effectively against him. They accomplished a diligent search, completing their investigation with careful attention. The depth of their scheming reaches inward. Their thoughts and hearts are deep, meaning their corruption runs beneath the surface, hidden from human examination. What men see of their behavior is only the visible portion of something far darker underneath.